Go. Hey guys, how's it going? It's the real Randy Chavez here with another Pokemon data sales analysis and record pricing update. We starting getting right into it. A Pidgeot first edition PSA 10 from the Jungle set sold for $1,030. We also had a Giovanni's Persian first edition PSA 10 sold for $2,450. Be advised, this card, not only is it insanely hard to grade with the factory lines well, mostly just the factory lines, but there's only 51 PSA 10 copies. And comparing that with Misty's Golduck, first edition PSA 10 only has 48 PSA 10 copies. So I think this should be pretty much around the same length as Misty's Golduck. The only reason we haven't seen that price increase jump like Misty's Gold is because there's been a couple of the Giovanni's Persians over the years. There's been a couple of Misty's Golduck as well, but there's been quite a bit more of the Giovanni's Persian. It's a beautiful card, and to my knowledge, Misty, I don't think ever had a Golduck. She had a Psyduck, obviously, and people are thinking, okay, maybe the Psyduck evolved. But Giovanni had a Persian. Like, that's his loyal pet cat, and in the games, Persian was a badass. Persian and Dugtrio in the first generation, when your speed automatically attributed to your critical hit ratio. And Persian and Dugtrio were bad asses. Not only does the move Slash, which both of those Pokemon can use, has a high critical hit ratio, but because Dugtrio and Persian were very, very fast, 99% of the time you use that move Slash, critical hit. Critical hit. But unlike Dugtrio, Persian was a normal type, and Slash had a normal type boost, so it got a stab boost, same type attack bonus, and just dominate people. So even though Giovanni did have Persian as kind of like a lap cat, almost, not really a lap cat, very big, kept it on his side next to his throne, that was his form of security. What is Persian weigh, 70 pounds? I don't know if you guys have ever met a really angry house cat. I have worked in animal hospitals for about 9 years. That was like my first career, and have a lot of scars from the animal hospital days. So much so that my friends thought that I was actually cutting myself in high school. But cats, if you take a 10-pound cat, let's just say 10 pounds, which is it's not a small cat. It's written on the larger size, but still 10 pounds is you could probably take that cat 99 times out of 100. You can choke it, but that cat will destroy you during the process. It'll claw at your eyes, it'll bite. I would rather get bit by a dog. I would rather have it mangle my whole arm than to get bit by a cat once, because teeth are so dirty and it hurts. You can't clean it. You can clean it, but it hurts and it's just horrible. And again, know from experience, been bitten by cats, been bitten by dogs. Much rather get bit by a dog than a cat, because that is horrible. But anyway, like I was saying, cats, as they get bigger, become more and more uncontrollable. Even an angry cat, unless you're very experienced like me and had about almost a decade in that career field and know how to wrap them up like a burrito in a towel, and you could do stuff, clip their nails and try to get blood, and cats you're not going to have a good time, especially if you don't have gloves. So take that 10-pound cat, I'd say double it, 20 pounds? 20-pound angry cat looking to claw your face off? Maybe I could defeat that 80% of the time. Maybe 30 pounds, 40 pounds, that's insane. You can't, try to take on a cougar, this Persian will destroy you. All right, people are sleeping on Persians in the Pokemon universe. Yes, Giovanni uses that Persian the same way I use Dashi over here, because it's cool looking and it's awesome and it is other synonyms for badass. But that's his last form of defense. Giovanni, which is a mogul, a boss, a gangster boss, a crime boss, that's his last form of defense. After all his ground Pokemon, his Nidoking, his Nidoqueen, his Golem, everything else that is in this, he's got a Gyarados in this. That's it. If you think, I beat all his Pokemon, it's a cat, no, that cat will destroy you. And I know I went off a 3-minute tirade on Persian, but I love this card. It's beautiful. It's his Persian. This is, even at the $2,450. This is still undervalued. This should be a $3,000 to $4,000 card. Same with Misty's Gold Duck. I got that $3,500 card at a steal because my $4,000 offer was declined. So this Persian, you can get that, and the 9s. People are sleeping on the 9s too. You can get BGS 9s and PSA 9s for $200. That is cheap. That is less than 10. All right, the 10 would be selling for more than 10 times of what the 9's selling for, which is, and again, I don't know how many PSA 9 copies there are. It's probably a bit more because the 10 is very, very hard to grade. So you're probably going to see a jump in 9s, but I'm just saying that's people sleeping on that card. That card is amazing. It's very, very rare. It's only 51 copies. Moving on past that, we had a Nido Queen from Jungle Set First Edition PSA 10 sell for $1,009, and a Kangaskhan from the same Jungle Set First Edition PSA 10 sell for $2,827. Why is there such a difference? I'll tell you. The Nido Queen has 90 PSA 10 copies. Out of those 90 PSA 10 copies, that's still very rare, and I think $1,000 really, you probably should have a little bit more. Maybe it's worth $1,500, I think. But the white Kangaskhan got $2,827. Okay, there's 11 bidders on that, right? There was 11 bidders, and 5 of them bid $1,900 and above. So this is definitely a new price point for Kangaskhan. New record price point. I don't know where the support level is for this card, but for Kangaskhan, there's only 64 PSA 10 copies. So if we're looking at something that has, let's say, only 70%, 75% of the available copies. As for the Nido Queen, I've seen more Nido Queens sell in the past couple of years than Kangaskhan's. So the ones that have them probably just don't want to let them go because it's hard to get again. And if you want to get them again, it's a 4-figure item. And so that's why there's a lot more scarcity with the Kangaskhan's, a lot less availability. They're just rarer. They're harder to grade, and that's why. But again, the Kangaskhan 1,900, 2,500. So 2,500 was the fourth bid. 1,900 was the low bid coming in 5th place. Then went 2,700, 2,777, then 2,827. So by 50 it was going. Moving past that, we had a Scyther from Jungle Set as well, 1,025. I don't think that's a regular price point. I think one sold for 1,200 recently. Someone fact check me on that. We had a Dark Arbok First Edition PSA 10 sell for 186. A Dark Gyarados First Edition PSA 10 sell for 285. I love those guys. Dark Dragonite First Edition PSA 10 sell for $1,075. Nice. We had a T17. So Typhlosion 17, First Edition PSA 7 sold for $500. So I still think that's a minimum $2,000 card for the PSA 9 because the 8's going to be well over $1,000. $1,200 I think was the last sale, and the 9 will be about double that. So we have a Mew Gold Star Mew. PSA 9 sold for $600. 606? I think just 600. I don't know. Can't tell what I wrote down. Which is nice. Great job, Mew. Pre-release Clefable. This one I thought was interesting too, because an 8 just sold for like $850 like a week ago, and a 7 had sold that had been like listed for 30 days. Nobody bought, and it was listed at like $399. After the PSA 8 sold for over $800. That 7 sold immediately for $399. So this one is sold for $450. I think is a record price point, and for good reason, because the PSA 9 Clefable, that is several $1,000s. That is going to be. Some people speculate that it's only going to be like $1,000 to $2,000. I think it's going to be more, because out of the 260 total copies of the pre-release Clefable in the pop report. Okay, it's 260 of them total. That's not just PSA 9s, PSA 10s. There are no PSA 10s. You can't get a graded PSA 10. It's just impossible. None exists. The highest is a 9, but out of those 260 in them, 120... Oh, no, yeah, all right, so 124 PSA 7 copies. All right, there's 38 PSA 8, and there's 9 PSA 9. So there's 171 copies of that are 7 to 9 that people would want. And because after that, you start getting beat up cards. And if you're going to spend, some $100 on a card, you want it to look pretty. And some people, they don't care if there's a crease in the back that you can't tell on the front. There's whitening edgeware on the back because they'll put it on a wall or they'll put it in a binder set. Or you're really just looking at the front. And fair enough. That's fair. I have a couple completed binder sets as well. I love looking at them. and they're nice, aesthetically pleasing. Doesn't matter what they look like on the back because the front is cool. And you have anything lower than a 7, you start getting to see, factory lines, something on the front, smudges, whatever. And the 9s, because that's going to be several $1,000s, I'd say minimum $2,000. We haven't seen one sell in so long. And the 8s are now well over 800. And the 7s are, the 7 sold for $450. So if you don't want to spend that money and you want to get a 6, it's only 46 PSA 10 copies. So out of these, they're very, very rare. They're just like, there is less of these in the total pop report than there are of first edition PSA 10 Blaine's Charizards, like 270. And that card sells for $3,000, $3,500. So we really have a card that is very, very rare, and it is something that I still think is undervalued, that pre-release. Now, there's a no symbol Clefable as well. There's obviously, there's a lot of variations, and yes, you can get the same artwork without the pre-release stamp. PSA 9 you get for $200. You could get that, but again, it doesn't have the pre-release stamp. It's not that piece of history. We have Pikachu Yellow Cheeks. I decided to cover a couple of BGS ones because I see growth in them, I see potential in them, especially if none of the subsections are less than 9. Pikachu Yellow Cheeks first edition, BGS 9 sold for $82. We had a Charmeleon first edition, BGS 9. These are from base set, by the way, sold for $88. And we had a Magneton base set first edition, BGS 9, sell for $500. So I think that some people don't want it because they automatically assimilate and when they think of one thing, they think of the other. When they think of Pokemon, they think of PSA and Pokemon. But BGS, if it's a 9 and above, that's a great grade. Anything below that, it gets a little iffy. But those are mint cards, and especially the ones that are gem mint, like those are really, really harsh, and it's hard to get those grades. So the fact that you are getting a base set BGS 9, which is I think, again, depending on the grade, sometimes a little bit better than a PSA 9, sell for $500. That base set first edition Magneton PSA 10 is probably going to sell, I would say, for $2,500 minimum. We had a T18 as well, Typhlosion number 18, the one that is more common and less rare, and there's flooded with them right now. First edition PSA 9. This one sold for $630. I think these will go up eventually, but ever since one sold for like $980 or something like that, the market has been flooded with them. So I think you're going to see, obviously we've seen a retrace down to like the $600-800 mark. But then once those are all, gobbled up and gone, I think you're going to see it rise again. Just my opinion. Anyway, sorry for that 3-minute thing on Giovanni. I'll try to warn people about that. I'll put it in the description. I'll save it for the end. I love you guys. I will talk to you later. Please like and comment and share with your friends and family so we can all accept Mewtwo into our hearts. And maybe I should have said Arceus for that one.